Hello. Today, we're going to talk about this anonymous Arsha stuff. If you guys don't know, the event is basically just full anonymous Arsha, no teaming, no platoons, you can't party up, nothing. And that's the premise, but obviously there's issues with this entire situation, which is what we're going to talk about today. So I want to start just by saying that this event is actually pretty good. I have really no issues from PA's side of this, and typically I'll critique PA if they do something absolutely dumb. Like, I'm no stranger to critiquing this game or the developers or anything of that sort, but they actually had a pretty good idea here. It's actually not bad. I think for the most part, the biggest downfall of this event is probably the community more so than anything else, but not to say that PA didn't overlook certain things. This is once again, I think, an oversight on their part where they just give the community too much power, and then like we just ruin this shit because of stuff that just dates, you know, years and years and years of beef and people just doing dumb shit. So it's just kind of inevitable, and my philosophy on this entire situation is I think PA just needs to take more control over these types of modes and pretty much think thoroughly and stop giving the community credit where credit is not due. This place is an absolute cesspool of complete hatred and malice, and everybody here is literally preying on everybody's downfall. And that's just how this game has always been. Nobody here is like ever really, you know, for the fucking game or anything like that. Everybody here is for the fucking clown circus act. That's legitimately how this game has always been. So I just think that this event was a good idea on paper, but there was issues that were completely overlooked. One of the biggest issues is teaming. I think teaming became an issue. Just, I don't know who started it. All I know is that every fucking guild does it. Not a single one. Elite, Arsha, Smoke, you name it, they're fucking doing it. It doesn't matter. And what happens here specifically that I noticed the other day was that I was getting teamed by a Zerker and a Musa. I don't know who specifically it was. I have an idea, but I'm not gonna bother to accuse anybody. I don't give a fuck anyway. That shit just bugged the hell out of me because it was like, dude, like, why? Like, we literally got this cool ass event. We're all fighting, we're all having fun, and it's being ruined by this teaming garbage. And how they went about this is basically one person is playing a Zerker. They put on full DP gear, like 6 cadres. They took no damage and they did no damage to me. Mind you, this is what my gear looks like. I'm legitimately super fucking low DR 612, and my crystal setup is this, so I'm not like mega tanky. Like, I just have just bitterness and then these spec evas for my block, since HP affects your block. So that's about it. Everything else is pretty much not really tanky. Oh, I guess the Hate too, but other than that, yeah, I'm basically just full glass for the most part, so I'm incredibly squishy. And what was going on is the Zerker would go in and just grab me and hold me over their head, and then the Musa would come in and full burst me. And by the way, they're also in fucking meme gear, and because I'm just so low in the gear score pool, and on top of that, like, I'm running a glass like squishy build, they were able to just combo me while not doing much damage to the Zerker. So pretty much they targeted me the entire time because I was the only warrior there and I was talking in chat, so like they knew it was me. So that was first mistake on my end for saying anything, but like that was just, I should have just shut the fuck up and just not try to be social. But you know, that's what I get for just trying to, you know, have a fun time on this godforsaken game. So they would just run up, grip my shit, and then just combo me in meme gear, and then just pretty much kill me because I'm running full glass. And that's all they did. And that was pretty much my experience on the second day. I just had to play really ratty and avoid the entire, like, if I saw the Zerker, because the Zerker wasn't wearing an outfit, so it was a tag. Somebody just tagged it to be like lame and to be annoying or something. I don't know, but they weren't wearing an outfit. No Zerker anywhere is not wearing an outfit, so like that's a fresh tag off of somebody. And all they knew how to do was grab, because every time they tried to combo me, they didn't do one, the correct combo, and two, they did no damage anyway. So yeah, that was lame. And like I said, I don't give a fuck who's teaming. I don't give a fuck who's doing any of that, whether it's Elite, whether it's Arsha, whether it's fucking, I don't know, it's stupid ass Warzone. I don't give two shit who the fuck is doing it. If you are teaming, you're garbage. I don't give a fuck. That shit is lame. That shit's corny. I don't give two shits. I don't give one single fuck if like what guild you're a part of. If you're teaming, you're corny. This entire event was supposed to be for those that like just want to have, you know, an FFA, have some fun and enjoy the PvP, because this game has been dry as fuck. There's been zero PvP for nearly, I think, 3 months now, for the most part, since I've been back, for as far as I'm aware. There's the occasional GVG, and what happens is it's over in like less than 15 minutes because people, you know, they get red feeded a couple times and they're like, all right, well, that's it, time to leave. And that's just how it goes. That's just what happens every single time. There is never a single fucking point where like a GVG is going extremely well and that like everybody's like, okay, I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna fight for, you know, an hour or so. No, it's always over in 15 minutes. So that's been my experience with GVGs for the past few days, or months actually. And now that this event has come out, I mean, I was able to drop 2 montages back to back because I was just fighting for like hours, and I was able to get some decent clips that were worthy of posting. That was just, you know, showing off AP Warrior and what he can do in these types of scenarios. And I also just wanted to do that too, because a lot of people have the perception that like, you know, zerging is necessary, or, you know, zerging this, zerg. You don't have to zerg. Like, I kill people perfectly fine without a zerg. You watch the last 2 montages I uploaded, I'm solo dolo beating the shit out of people. I don't need a fucking zerg to beat the shit out of anybody. That's not I don't need that shit. I don't even want that shit. But like, I understand that a lot of people enjoy that type of fucking content, and it is what it is. You know, some people want to play with their friends, and that's another critique I have too, is that this event is kind of like, you know, it's like whatever, right, for a community aspect, because it's a solo thing, and I think PA needs to stop with the solo content. So while I agree that this event was actually pretty solid and a good idea, I think that like there needs to be some form of way to play with your friends, because this is just, again, it's a lonely ass MMO that's just not all that great whenever you get to the meat of it, and it's pretty I don't know, it's just pretty lonely, and it's kind of like, it just sucks to not be able to play with friends. But the one thing that I want to focus on here that I think is the psychological aspect on why it's so active, because right now, like if I pull up Guido's stream, I'm pretty sure he's fighting like fucking 30,000 people. Let me go see his stream real quick. Oh no, never mind, the event's over. Never mind. I was watching the stream while I was making this video, but I guess the fight's over. But as I was watching the stream, there was like, I don't know how many players over there that were just brawling out. So people are enjoying it, and I think the aspect that people really like about this event is that it's completely anonymous, that you don't know who anybody is unless you announce it and make it known of who you are. That's pretty much like the cool part about this event, right? And I think that helps with people's mental state, because a lot of people get embarrassed. Like when you die in this game, people clown you for it like forever. They'll never let you live it down. They're gonna hold it over the head like for the rest of your life. It's just completely unfun and unreasonable, and it's lame, right? So there are the players that don't give two shits, like they just go about their business. Like, I don't give two fucks if you kill me, that's part of the game. I've died 1,000 times on this fucking game, who gives a shit? But there are the players that get nervous about interacting with PvP because they don't want to get clowned, they don't want to be labeled as a bad this, bad player, bad class, whatever. I think the anonymity really helps with this whole mental, you know, gymnastics that you have to play, because nobody knows who anybody is. You can just go and you can feed your brains out all day and you're not going to get roasted. Like that's not going to happen, right? You're just gonna feed your brains out, and the only one that's going to know that is you. So I think that helps with people not having that sort of, you know, kind of cloud over their head, and it helps just them, you know, kind of get out of their comfort zone and go fight and, you know, be better at learning how to play the game. And I think also too, it helps with people that want to kind of get into PvP that maybe haven't been able to do so, and they've just been grinding a whole lot, but you know, they're a little nervous to jump into PvP because they don't want to deal with the community being, you know, rude to them or mean or whatever. So I think that this, just from a psychological standpoint, is a phenomenal idea, like genuinely, which has led me to the conclusion that I think that the feeds gotta go. I think feeds gotta go straight the fuck up. I genuinely believe that feeds have to go. I know that it's been a staple community thing, and people like enjoy looking at the red and blue feeds and all that stuff, and it's a really huge status thing. But for the health of this game, and for what I believe would actually improve this game dramatically from a mental standpoint, and would actually get people active in PvP, is if you do away with the fucking if you do away with these whole like feats. If you just get rid of that and nobody has to look at that shit, then it eases their mind and it eases the mental state that they're in. So while I don't necessarily want the feats to disappear, because I think it's a great way to tell like who's winning a fight, and it's a clear obvious winner of who's like, you know, dominating the field, right? But I think that open world specifically should disappear in terms of feeds. I think that you should not be notified, your guild or whatever, that you killed somebody. I think it should be between you and the player, and the only people that are going to know that are, you know, you and the player, and obviously if you clip it or whatever. And even then, I still believe that you should be able to just, you know, be completely anonymous too. Like if you party up with people and you're fighting, you know, other players or whatever, the only people you should be able to team up with is your own guild, and that's about it. And then everything is still anonymous. Like just, you're still fighting complete strangers and you don't know who's who, and it just says hardened adventure, unknown adventure, whatever the case is. I think that should be the normal now, because after seeing this event and how many people are actually actively PvPing, this is my conclusion. Genuinely, I really do believe that this entire idea of just anonymous activity is really, really good. The other thing that I would like to touch on too is I believe that this probably should have been a capped event as well, gear cap, because I think that we could have gotten more players involved for sure. Like I think that it should have been, I don't know, Tuvala capped or something, in terms of just like what you could bring and how useful you could be. So that way it at least, you know, the crystals would have made it still a little imbalanced, but at least it wouldn't be as egregious as it is. Because right now the biggest issue is that everybody's running full DP meme shit, and all the mega geared whales are basically just running the show. And if you have any semblance of like, you know, minor gear, whatever, it's not gonna matter. You're just gonna get fried because there's nothing you can do about it. Like even myself, I'm kind of geared at like 722 for the most part, but the problem that I have, right, is that I have to run a full glass build to kill people, and that puts me at a disadvantage because I'm running a glass build on a full like SA class. So I'm doing this, I'm doing, you know, all of this shit, right? Like all of this is like SA forward guard for the most part. So I'm very vulnerable whenever I have to engage. So I'm super squishy, I'm prone to grabs and a ton of other things of that nature, right? So anybody with DP gear or that has like higher gear is pretty much just gonna, if I play incorrectly and I get caught, I'm dying no matter what. Like there's just, I basically have to shoulder all the risk, and then like they get to reap pretty much 90% of the reward because they just throw on DR gear. And if they're mega whales and they got like a ton of good gear and they're all like DP'd out and they have enough AP to still kill me, because again, I'm running a glass build, so therefore, you know, it doesn't really matter as long as you have like 650 AP minimum, which is very easy to get. You can kill me very easily. And that goes for a lot of other players too that aren't as geared as well. So even though like I can hold my own, and you know, if I have to fight somebody, as long as I play correctly, I can win. That's not an issue. I don't like, that's not a big deal. But what is an issue is the fact that I still have to shoulder all the risk while they get to basically play turtle mode and have like a 90% win rate just because of the way that you can play the game. And that's where the problem is, that I think it was a misstep with this event. If they had capped it to like Tuvala gear or seasons only, I think even that might have been popping too. But also a lot of people really like gear, so I mean, I think a lot of people just want to abuse the gear that they have too, and that's corny as well, because I feel like if you're good at the game, no matter what gear you have, you can function, like you can make it work. Like I said, I'm a fucking gearlet. 401 DP, that ain't shit these days. Like I've got 612 DR, like I'm getting one-shotted, like I'm dying immediately. So I'm just saying, like, I don't know, for the lesser players that have, you know, less skill and less gear, they couldn't even participate in this event. Like they didn't even have an option. There was no physical way for them to get involved in this, because if they showed up to that fight, they're getting fried off rip, like immediately. They're getting absolutely pissed on, and that's not fun for anybody. And I'd also like to point out, like, Shies, I don't know if we just forgot about that class, but last time I checked, Shies have basically no combat capability whatsoever in terms of like kill potential. So Shies, if you wanted to participate in this event, I guess you were not really allowed to, because they just didn't think about you. So there was just no physical way for you to really to even have fun with this. So there was, again, another oversight from Pearl Abyss in just that regard. But while I understand that maybe nobody necessarily cares about that, and you can maybe tag another class to at least have fun, I mean, some people are shy mains. They just want to play shy. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just, shy lives matter. But whatever. But I want to double back to the anonymous factor and just the mental capabilities that this opens up the door for, and I think PA should be paying attention to that. When it comes to game development, there's a lot of psychological factors that go into game development. You have to keep the player invested in your game, and you have to keep the players happy too. And as much as good content that is within the game can play a part in that, there's also tactics that you can utilize to manipulate a player's mindset into thinking that doing certain actions in the game are less tedious, less monotonous, whatever you want to call it, and less of a annoyance and more of a privilege than a chore. I'll use an example. So whenever I play Helldivers, this is like my mental state, might not be everybody's, but this is what I think when I play Helldivers. I run the same setup every single time. I'm running the counter sniper, scout's armor, basically full scout diver is what I run 24/7. I don't ever switch my guns. I don't ever switch my build. I don't ever do anything. In fact, I don't even switch my planets. I go on Vogue Sojoth every single day, and I'll fight the robots in there all day, every day for hours and hours and hours, the same thing. And I have no issue doing that. Meanwhile, I can play BDO and then run circles for maybe 1 hour and I'm completely mentally drained. You know what the difference is? The way Helldivers frames their content and how they adjust for the grind. With BDO, it is completely unapologetic in wasting your time. It is completely unapologetic. It has no means to even remotely hide the grind from you. It is just what it is, right? When I play Helldivers, you're still grinding, right? You're still grinding. It's the same concept. You're doing the missions to get medals so that way you can unlock more outfits, you can unlock more guns, whatever. It's still a grind. It's the same concept. It's still circle running, just a different method. It's the same thing. But I can do that for hours and hours and hours. Meanwhile, I log on to BDO, I can barely finish 1 hour of running a circle. What is the difference? The difference is the framing, the way it is. You're fighting for democracy. You're going in there for an experience, right? You're not really thinking about the weapons. Like, that's a byproduct instead of it being like the focal point, right? Whenever I go grinding in BDO, it's not a byproduct. It is the main focal point. It is I have to make a certain amount of money an hour or else this was a complete waste. Whereas I go in Helldivers and I'm just like, I don't give a fuck about anything. I'm just here because the grind is actually fun. The content is there. I'm fighting for democracy. I'm dropping bombs. I'm having cool interactions with, players that are, voice acting or that are, shouting orders at you or whatever. It's an experience, right? Whereas this game has nothing like that to distract you from the monotony of what exactly you're doing. And that's where the issue lies, to me specifically, on just how this functions as a video game. Instead of finding ways to manipulate the player's reality and make them believe that they're doing something that is way above just running a circle, instead they're just like, you're just, just grind, just fucking do it, just whatever. And I think that they forget that game development is a big thing with the mental state. Being able to trick the player into being able to have fun is part of game development, and BDO and Pearl Abyss specifically have not mastered that art whatsoever. They have not found a way to make the grind fun. There are methods to do this, they just, I don't know, not paying attention to them or whatever, but I can't tell you how many people keep asking for group grind spots and they still have yet to drop any relevant grind spots other than Olin's. That's just kind of what it is, and that's a big problem. And then the dungeons too, people keep asking for dungeons, and then guess what? They come out with a new dungeon that only 0.1% of the player base can even fucking do. So it's like, what is going on here? Like, we're not, like, this is bronze level fucking game development. It's insane. And this anonymous Arsha stuff really showcases that mental capacity of the player base, is that as long as they don't get made fun of and they don't have to be put on blast and they don't have to be, humiliated in discords and whatever the hell, as long as that factor disappears, people will come out of the woodworks and go fight for hours. I was out there for like, when this event first dropped, I was out there for like 4 hours just fighting like 10 to 30 people for hours. They were just constantly there, and it's probably still going on right now if I go over there, but I was waiting for the event to be over because I wasn't going to that shit. Like, I have no chance of even remotely surviving there. I'm a full AP glass warrior. I walk off node, I'm getting killed immediately. Like there's, and on top of that, people are node camping too. So like there's just no way for me to even thrive in this event. So I just decided to not participate because it's just, there was no way for me to physically do well. Like I didn't have a chance whatsoever. I could maybe get a couple kills, but overall, I'm probably just getting farmed because I just don't have the gear to deal with the, you know, mass amount of AP that's going to be thrown around there. And there's a ton of mega whales that are running around too that are just going to one shot the fuck out of me. So no matter what I fucking wanted to do, if I wanted to partake or not, I was going to get fried regardless. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of yapping here, but I really do believe that the anonymous factor from this event has brought life back into PvP, and I think it's something PA should explore heavily. And if I'm being realistic too, I actually think that this event was to explore that idea. I think that they might actually be aware of that too. And this is, you know, because it's kind of interesting that we got this a little bit. And, you know, it just was like they removed the regular Arsha and then they only left us with this one. So it kind of makes me feel like that they possibly may have been trying to test this idea to begin with, which if it is, honestly, good on them for having an actual good idea for once. So personally, W. But I think that the community really fucked this event for the most part. Even just for outside of the, you know, going to Sazens and farming the points and whatever, there's still dumb shit that happens. Like guilds are bringing fucking elephants out. Once again, I don't give a fuck who you are. If you're bringing an elephant out, you're weird, you're strange. Don't condone that shit because I'm trying to have fun. That elephant affects me. That ruins my fun. That shit is lame. That shit is cornballery. I don't give a fuck. That shit's corny. I don't like that shit at all. And every guild is doing that. Like that's not even just elite, it's not just Arsha, it's not just, like every fucking guild that it just wants to be lame has that 1 to 2 players that are just trying to bring the elephant because that's just what they want to do. And the moment I see one, I'm leaving immediately because that's it. That's my fun's over. I'm not, because the problem with the elephants is they go through everything. They go through blocks, they go through SAs, they go through forward guards, they go through iframes, they'll go through your ass. It doesn't matter. I don't know whose idea it was to make elephants be able to just basically nullify every form of guard imaginable, but dumb as shit. And on top of that, why the fuck can we use elephants open world? Ban that shit. Ban elephants open world. Like on God, ban that shit. That is fucking corny. There's been like a few scenarios where I'm just like, you know what, bring the elephant. I don't fucking care anymore. And it's usually when it's a safe zone battle, because at that point, if you're gonna be lame, fuck it, we'll be lame too. I don't give a shit. But outside of that, during this event, there is no reason to be bringing that shit out. There's literally no reason to be bringing that shit out. This is supposed to be a PvP, we're fighting type shit. And that's what it's supposed to be. Not, all right, I'm gonna ride an elephant and just CC everybody for whoever, and they're just gonna clean up kills. Because that's another thing that's happening too, is people are riding elephants and knocking people around, and then people are just coming in and sliding in for kills and just stealing shit. So that's just corny. But that's just what I'm thinking about, you know? I think that this event was a good idea. I think the idea behind the anonymity is really good, and I hope that they keep playing around with that and maybe expand on it. And I think also too, a game mode would be a good idea as well. Just putting that out there, of a really nice game mode that actually has good PvP in it, whether it be, you know, expanding on RBF or adding different types of game mode where like an FFA is a thing and people just join in an open field. Like a good idea, in my opinion, is like going to fucking like Navarre Steppe, right? Like if you go all the way to Navarre Steppe, imagine an RBF that's just this open field right here. Like that's just this giant open fucking field, and you can have like, you know, 100 players or something just running around in this shit, and then you just fighting to fight. And that would be sick. That would be so dope if you could do that. So I'm just, that factor would be cool too. And then also, once again, just remove the feed and just create it and make it entirely anonymous, so that way everybody can just have fun and not have to worry about being humiliated by other players wanting to make fun of people. As much as I'd like for the feeds to stay, it's clear as day that people don't like it with how active this event is, and people are just having fun with it. And I think that it's something that PA needs to just keep in mind and look at all the time, because this is game changing in my opinion, and if they don't expand on this, it's a missed opportunity, and I think they're going to miss the window of making the game at least somewhat decent once again. But yeah, I think that's all for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys have any opinions, thoughts, or concerns, drop them down below and let's have a conversation. But other than that, I will talk to you guys later. Bye bye.